Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tiff Talks Tech. Today, I'm excited because I have a repeat guest who's a really good friend of mine, Robert Turnbull, and we're going to be talking about why operators aren't actually in control of their tech stack. Robert's the founder of Multifamily Consortium, and I'm really excited to dive into this. But before we do, can you just give us a little bit of your background? I know you've kind of given me the full one before, but maybe just how we got to this point and why you ended up focusing so deeply on tech stacks and operations.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks for having me on again. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Always fun to chat. Yeah, 26 years multifamily, started a lot of solutions and products. Learned early on that you need to have integrations, right? So you got to have integrations, and you got to play well with in the sandbox, which is important. If you're going to serve the management company truly, we realized that property management companies were having these challenges integrating with and identifying technologies and solutions that did play well in the sandbox, whether it be marketing, operations, and technology. So that's what kind of led us to Multifamily Consortium. We just realized that rather than going out starting one more technology and solution, why don't we solve what they already have and see if we can improve what they have?
Yeah,
So
because we hear
yeah.
this all the time that people are overwhelmed with the amount of things that are out there. Can you give us some context into the kind of things that people come to you with and the challenges that operators are mentioning?
Yeah. So I had, I won't say her name, but she was a pretty high level executive in a fairly well known management company. And she just said, I just got yelled at by my CFO. And I said, well, what for? Because our tech stack and our other stack keeps going up 15% year over year. And I can't really explain why. And so I kept hearing that over and over, like they're getting bloated. And they can't really figure out exactly what's causing all of this. They think they're scaling back and that goes up. And so there's this inability to actually visualize and see what's going on. And so that's kind of what led us to today, which is look, we're all about innovation adoption, but man, we can't get innovation adoption until you figure out, clean up your house, get your house clean. We can start helping you get some really innovative solutions in place.
Yeah, definitely. I hear all the time that things are just kind of fitting together very clunky, and that's something we want to avoid. But when people are saying, oh, we have too much technology, what are they feeling in their day to day? Are they overwhelmed? Are they feeling like they lost control, or are you hearing anything else?
Well, yeah. And one of the ways that you can tell, there's a litmus test to figure out when they're overwhelmed. The moment that they are spending more time managing their tools and technology at the property versus dealing with people, it's tipped. When they're not answering calls and they're not dealing with renters in front of them because they're plugging something in somewhere in 15 different dashboards, it's a problem. We need to use technology to free their time up, not to enslave them. And that is exactly what's happening right now with all these disparate systems and outdated systems.
Yeah, I remember working on site. Anytime we did a rollout, they were just like, no, please, no. Please, no more technology.
Yeah, they're screaming, they're begging for less.
Yeah.
And I don't think they mind using certain technologies as long as it's actually helping them do their job, not taking
Right.
them away from their job.
Yeah, it can't feel like just one more thing they have to learn, one more dashboard that they need to figure out. Like they need to be able to streamline it all.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. How often is the frustration less about having technology and more about not being able to shape the stack in the way that they actually operate?
I think that, boy, this goes to a really big question and problem. So I'm just going to be blunt. Property management company executives have lost their power. They really have. And they don't even know it. It's been usurped from them. And then, quite frankly, they've given it over. And it's happened over time. So what I mean by that is they want to use a technology, but they can't because it's not integrated with something, or it costs money to integrate with a foundational solution, whether it be their property management software, their CRM, or whatever it might be. They don't have data and insights that they can get from all these disparate sources. The data is often wrong. The brand, they've lost control of their brand. They aren't actually able to select the renter journey that they want because they're, once again, enslaved to these foundational solutions. So I think that's contributing to all of this.
Right. And then at what point does a tech stack stop being supportive and then start becoming operational debt to the team?
That goes right back to the original question, which is when they're spending too much time doing this and
Right.
not talking to their properties. And look, you can see this. I believe in the anthropological exercise. There's some consultants in our industry. I think they're doing the right thing. They're looking at tech stack, but they're also actually visiting the properties
Mm,
and they're watching these leasing agents and they're just thinking, my gosh, they are spending so much time. It's insane. And the leasing agent's been saying it. Sometimes these people just aren't listening.
right. Right. So in thinking about how the stack is broken. In your experience and what you've seen, where is there more redundancy? Is it like in their marketing stacks or leasing operations, all of that? Like, where are they seeing that?
Yeah, it's all of it, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I can answer it a little bit differently in that. So part of what we're doing is we're actually grabbing all their marketing, operational, and tech stacks, and we're putting it into a visualization tool and go, hey, for the first time, there you go. Why are you having 3 different products do the same thing for these 2 properties? Do you know you're paying for a product you haven't used in 2 years? Do you know that you have 4 gaps of solutions that are out there that you don't even know about or haven't even addressed? So what's happening is it's just this Frankensteining of solutions they're putting on that don't necessarily integrate. And they don't always have the time to spend to do the due diligence to know, well, hey, it integrates. It doesn't integrate. It's AI. It's not AI. Like there's
Yeah.
all these claims that
And
people are
what is
making.
integrate? Like, what level of integration?
Exactly right. Oh, because you can download a file at the end of the night. That's not a true integration, at
Right.
least not the one that you need for whatever it is. So they really need an intermediary, someone who has, and at Multifamily Consortium, we have people that have been on the property side, supplier side, and both. They need someone who's going to go in and say, look, we get what you're looking for. We're going to help provide some basic solutions and information so you can make a determination of your own, just more informed. And we'll help you do that.
Right, because a lot of times the teams don't have the time to just sit there and evaluate every little thing that they're using on a daily basis
Yeah.
and do that work.
Yeah.
How often do you think the chaos stems from like the site teams not being involved in any of those decisions and not having a say in what gets kept and
It's, oh, so, okay. There needs to be a symphony of information sharing between the highest level COO down to the leasing agent and everywhere in
Mhm.
between. If you do this in a vacuum and you do not incorporate these various levels and true due diligence, then you're ultimately going to um, disable, disenable, I think is the word, those folks. And you really ought to be talking and listening to the leasing team because that's the people that are they're their front your front users. So there needs to be a chorus or a symphony of understanding between each group and someone who's tying all that together to decision making.
Yeah, I can think back to experiences on the corporate side where we've had executives mandate tools where they
Right.
didn't do any research on it. Like, hey, you guys are going to try this tool. Okay, I've done lots of research actually, and I don't think this is a great option, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to use it anyways. And I think that's where
Right.
the workflows can break because you're not taking the feedback of the people using the products.
Totally agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about adoption versus accumulation when it comes to tools. Why do you think multifamily just keeps adding more tools instead of fixing the workflows that exist already?
Yeah. So here's another one of those comments that may not land really well. Lack of expertise to evaluate, and quite frankly, in some cases, flat out laziness. I will say that, yes, there's some products and services that don't live up to the hype. Maybe they've misrepresented themselves, but that's just a function of not doing the due diligence that's proper to do that. So let's just stick a band-aid on the problem, throw another solution in there to solve the problem. Really, rather than going back and looking at the foundation of all of it. And it's getting to a point where things are just breaking.
Mm.
And we've gone as far as we can with this. And now we need to go back to the drawing board and we need to look at foundational review around your technologies, your solutions, rather than just throwing band-aid solutions onto it.
Yeah, totally. Is there a cost that's associated with that and without adopting the tools that actually make the most sense?
A cost, you mean, oh, well, okay, if you're this is something I see from time to time. Well, we don't want to pay for that solution, so let's just budgeting. Here's a great one. So, yeah, let's just get a boot camp together. Let's get all our people for a week or two, and we'll spend all this time doing budgeting. So on the line item, it doesn't show any software that you're using. Maybe you're using Excel for these things, right? You just spent how much time flying people in and doing boot camps?
So
That's
much.
tens upon tens of thousands of dollars in lost time and cost. It isn't showing up on a P&L necessarily, but it's costing you a fortune.
Mhm.
These are the areas that, so one of the things that we look at is we actually look at when we're evaluating solutions is, okay, it may not be in your P&L, but how much time are your people spending? And we calculate that versus the product. You realize, my gosh, that product has one person could take 2 days to do this versus 15 people 2 weeks. Well, there's your answer, right? So you got to factor in all the math, all the dollars.
Totally. Yeah, that's a great example. I'm kind of thinking about when a tool fails in the eyes of the corporate team, how often is that the real issue of the process, or is it
Mm.
actually the product itself?
I can only speak really for myself from the because I've been a supplier, if you will, for
Yeah.
years. We do have other partners at Multifamily Consortium that have been on the property, and I think that they will say it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Some of it's the management company and just the improper training. We see that play out. What's funny, because where we sit, we're in the middle. So we help someone adopt a solution, and then the management company is saying the product didn't do what it says, and then the product's going, they didn't do the training we told them to do. And there's this disconnect. So we're kind of funny. We're in the middle watching both, and they're both kind of right and they're both kind of wrong. So what we're trying to do is be the intermediary to help improve the process at the property management company, but also provide some really good feedback to the solution, to the supplier.
Yeah, I just recently did an episode about why tech rollouts fail, and I feel like that's kind of goes along with that, where it's like the whole team did not adopt the process and they're not really going along with it. So oftentimes that's why they fail, but
And then you have to ask, why are they not following the process? Like, what is it? Why are they not following the process? Simply just they didn't have the information, or they're resisting something.
mhm,
And rather than forcing that, we've seen this too. Well, just do it. Well, there's a reason why they're pushing back, because you have to have 14 clicks to do something and you should only really need one. And
mhm.
so listening to their feedback is so important. Man, honestly, they'll solve a lot of your problems if you just listen to it and try to understand why they're pushing back on something.
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of along those lines, having a messy stack, how does that affect the daily reality of the on-site teams?
Redundancies, more time spending time
Yeah,
versus talking to people. You just see that. That's a feedback loop.
yeah,
That's a feedback loop. Yeah. And I highly recommend everyone sit down. I'm not a big fan of like dropping cameras in necessarily and viewing this very big product, but maybe you should, just to see how much time they're spending doing
yeah,
ridiculous, know, unimportant work.
yeah. How often do you think, like, having a fail of a product, do you think that impacts morale and turnover on the site level as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Used to be the worst attrition rate in the industry was retail.
Mhm.
Retail was about 40%, year over year. Multifamily, depending on the type and the market, it's between 50 and 73% now.
Yeah.
Ask them why. Ask them why, because they're being tasked to do too much for maybe what they're getting paid, or just doesn't matter what you pay them. They're just getting tasked to do too much. That number, that tells you a lot of what you need to know right there.
Right. Yeah, I agree. When there is a messy stack, do you think that the renter or the prospect feels that pain as well?
They do. They don't know why, but I'll tell you, dropped conversations.
Yeah.
Hey, are you going to call me back about my application? Hey, I didn't get an email on, hey, so why is this happening? Because there may be 8, 12, 15 disparate systems that the leasing agent's having to use and coordinate. They should not be doing that. That needs to be tied together, and a unified solution needs to be walking through that. And there are solutions that can help do that very thing. So
Yeah. Why do
yeah,
you think
they
it's
see it.
so hard to achieve that unified experience?
Oh, this is okay. Remember, I'm gonna keep saying some of these because I feel like a broken record. Some of the tools and solutions that we have relied on over the years simply have not kept up.
Yeah.
They're using technology from 1997. They have not retrofitted, if you will, their products to keep up with today's open source solutions, agentic, and so forth. And so we're seeing this failure rate occur. Can I just share something that this just strikes me? This just strikes me. These companies that I'm talking about have opted not to retrofit or improve and modernize their solutions. So it costs a lot to integrate with them, but they're passing that cost not off to them doing it. They're passing it off to these new innovative solutions or people that are charging to fit a solution that doesn't really work today. You see that? It's a bit of a racket. I mean, they're not paying the money to fix it and modernize, so they're making it everyone else pay for the problem. And I have a hard time with that. It's killing innovation.
Yeah,
It's killing innovation.
absolutely. Kind of along the lines of cost, I want to talk about measuring what is most important. And when operators are looking at the cost as a starting point, why is that not the best starting point?
Okay, so this goes back to our conversation around if you're just looking at cost,
Yeah.
if you're just looking at cost, man, you haven't focused on integration capabilities, data abilities, customizable to affect your brand capabilities. You're not looking at the people costs that are going to have to factor in now to fix the fact that you have. So if you're looking at cost, just cost, like the price tag, if you haven't, and I have a hard time believing that they're just looking at that. Like, if you're doing that, then you need to move on to another job. But you really have to factor integrations, data capabilities, future state, future proofing, all that into your total cost in addition to whatever the price tag is.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that's why, like you mentioned, the example of the budget boot camp, that can also be kind of a difficult place to be because you're sitting down, you're just looking at the price on the line item and not necessarily, okay, what's the impact? What's the benefit? How much are we saving with this product? Like that cannot always be the best thing.
Yeah.
How do you help operators determine if a tool is costing them money or if it's helping make them money or if it's just contributing to the noise?
Well, so what's interesting is there are four primary categories: corporate optimization. So that's just
Mhm.
like corporate. Then there's lead management, right? So if we're moving down the funnel, then there's move in and application. Then there's living. So you can kind of fit. And then there's now, there was 52, there's 56 subcategories under that. Like there's a lot,
Yeah.
right? There are some that I call mission critical, and there's some that are kind of close that they don't even have factored. It's blank.
Mm.
So there are things and solutions out there that are solving problems they don't even know anything about. So we're trying to surface that to them and say, did you know that this is available to you? Ever heard of that company, Robert? Well, this is what they do. They're like, that's great. Some of these can generate revenue for them. Some of these can mitigate costs and risks on many levels. And so when we look at a stack, we don't look at just what you're paying. We're looking at what you're not making. You could be generating revenues in other areas too, which
Yeah.
we have to factor into the delta once you've cleaned up your stack.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you know what are the things you look at when you can tell it's actually a healthy supportive stack?
If you have a company or product that does other things really well and you're not
Mhm.
using it, we recommend that. Like, we don't want you to just tear stuff up to tear stuff up. So let's evaluate that. A lot of times they didn't realize that their solution can do multiple things.
Mhm.
If a solution is doing multiple things but is not the best at it, and there's other solutions that are far better, we also need to make them aware of that. Well, it's all part of the stack that we're already offered, and it's all these excuses. Like, hold on, time out. You need to look at a future facing solution that's going to grow with you. So we try to evaluate what you have, and then and I'll tell you one other thing that we really I think is really important is you can make 11 recommendations when you see this. 11 specific. We only want to start with the highest quadrant, highest value, quickest turnaround. Let's just start with that. Because people see this stuff and they go, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. No, 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 hold on, relax, hold on. We're not recommending all of it, but we are saying that this is based on our criteria. This is the highest concern. This creates the highest value and less time to do it. So let's start with one and then work ourselves through it over the next 6, 9, 12 months till you've got a cleaned up, modernized stack.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. What is a mistake that you run into that companies make when they're trying to clean it up themselves? Is it like that price point where they're just looking at the price?
Committee.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
This whole committee thing, we have an innovation committee. I was like, oh, that's great. How's it working out for you? Not like we thought it was going to work out.
There's so
Why'd you
many
think it?
cooks in the kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one person comes in because they're championing it and everyone listens. It doesn't really go any further. This is not me saying this. This is
Yeah.
me listening to them. And then, so you get to, well, how do we integrate it? And the people kind of go off into the respective cubicles and area, and it doesn't seem to go anywhere. So we're like, you guys, there's a reason for that. You all are really busy when you go back. This is what we do. We're kind of your outsourced innovation group. We're going to help you think through that, and we're going to take the time to manage through that and then help you with the project and change management if you need. So,
Right.
yeah.
So, like, speaking of the change management piece of things, how do you handle that without burning people out even more if you're trying to make those changes?
Yeah. So people, I think when we initially talk to us, they just see this sign on our forehead that says more work.
Yeah.
And we're like, hold on, what
Yeah.
you're experiencing right now is more work. We actually want to say less work. We're going to go in, we're going to do the deep dive. We're going to do the analysis against a library of 55 to 100 different solutions that we've looked at against your current stack. We have an AI engine that goes in and starts to make recommendations around that, and we overview that. So we actually are doing a lot of that hands-on work. We've done the analysis, we've done the vetting, so that
Right.
you can just come in and say, oh, I've never seen my stack before. That's what it looks like. Yeah. And this is what it can look like tomorrow. That right here is so aspirational and fun when they see that, that you can see, wow, it can become this modernized stack, but the few changes here and there. It's not impossible. You just have to see it. Once you see it, you can work towards it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think this will be a disruptor in any way of like companies might get upset that you're showing people a better way.
Sure. Yeah, if you're not in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either gonna look, our goal is innovation adoption. That will not change. If you're not innovating and you're not keeping up, then yeah, it's absolutely gonna show that.
Yeah.
If you are, then we wanna showcase companies that have your future in mind, not theirs.
Yeah.
And therein lies the difference. We're not interested in companies that just want to stay status quo and keep the revenues. We are interested in companies that are solving today's problems and tomorrow's problems right now.
Yeah.
So, yep, yep. A few people might get their feathers ruffled.
I
That's
like it
okay.
though. Yeah. Let's talk about leadership and strategy a little bit. What role does leadership play in creating the chaos when it comes to this stack? I know we kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, that is an often overlooked factor. And what we realize is leadership. It's cliche, but it starts with that.
Yeah.
Look, it's change. We need it. Here's why. Change management is powerful. If you have a leader that says, "Oh, everything's a mess, does somebody go clam it?" And they're not really putting resource behind it, if they're giving you an understanding of why they're doing it, and look, folks, it's going to be a little painful, but we're going to get it done and we're going to be better off at the end of it. It's not project management we're more concerned about because we can do that all day long. It's change management. But that company, I've used them for years and I'm really good friends with them. Hey, we'll take them to dinner next time you're in town, but their product isn't doing you any favors, right? So we kind of come in an objective way and show the data so that it gives them excuse, license to walk away from a product that deep down they probably know that they should, but they're a friend. And that's a hard one because our industry is very relational, for better or worse. So we want to come in and be that middle ground that says, hey, you know what? Let us show you the data, and then you can make a decision based on that and keep your friendships, but it's time for you to move on to a better solution.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to get buy-in across all the departments when everyone has their favorite thing that they work with. Showing the data is really going to tell the story.
Yeah, it should. It absolutely should.
Yeah. What mindset shift needs to happen for operators to move from owning tools to orchestrating an entire experience?
Oof, that's you know, I'm going to defer to people like you actually who have been on I'm actually curious to know how you would answer that because unlike you, Tiffany, I've never been on the property side of it. So you having been leasing and being in corporate, how would you answer that question?
I mean, I think, like we said earlier, just listening to the on-site teams or listening to others around you, like that was one thing I wish I would have had more of is like people listening to me and my experience with certain tools instead of just mandating things of like, hey, I did a lot of research behind things. Why are we going this direction? So I do think that we just need to be open to listening more and more.
Why do you think that they weren't open?
I think it's like one of those things where, like you said, everybody has their favorite person that they work with. So someone may have gotten to them first and not they didn't do the research behind it. And a lot of times they'd end up with really expensive products that weren't really doing what they thought it was going to do.
Yeah. And look, I've benefited from having friendships in this industry that have helped, but I recognize that truly that can get you in the door, but that's not what should keep you there.
No. Yeah, your product has
And
to
if
stand up on its own.
it has to stand up on its own, and if it's not, then you have inherent issues.
Right. And so then with that said, like I wish someone would have listened to me more. As leaders, how do they give their teams more autonomy without creating a nightmare?
I think you need to give teams time.
Yeah.
When you're running around and you're doing all these disparate systems and you're trying to solve these problems and you're not taking critical time, people often say, well, I see you sitting at your desk, you're not doing anything. Sometimes that's the best thing
Yeah.
so they can think.
Yeah.
So they really need to have a little bit of time to think. And I don't think they have that time right now.
No, they're just going from task to task.
So I keep throwing that out. And my solution, just to be honest on that, is there are solutions through agentic, semantic AI and so forth that are starting to surface the idea that it can tie in all these disparate systems or many of them
Mm,
so that the human isn't having to do all of this manual work. Agentic, which is agent, can handle a lot of this, but not all of it. It's not going to replace your best people. You're going to keep your best people. It might replace some of your lower performers,
yeah.
but that's not a bad thing. And it's a force multiplier. It will give people, especially your best performers, their time back so they can do what they do best. Think and work with their prospective renters.
Yeah, and I think people underestimate how much energy it actually takes to give a tour to, I mean, at least for me, as I'm an introvert, but like to give a tour, to talk with somebody, like you really, it takes a lot of your energy. And so they don't need to spend that time doing menial things. And we've always said
Menial,
that. Yeah.
low reward, repetitive tasks. Yeah, we can do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that the future of multifamily is fewer tools, better tools, or just better control of the journey?
I think it's the proliferation, and it's the proliferation that you see with tools and technologies, because it's actually easier to generate and build new ones, and then it'll just kind of begin to reduce.
Yeah.
I think that agentic will start to eliminate the need for some stuff, will incorporate other stuff, and will not be able to touch various things. And so I do think with agentic, you are going to see less proliferation, more consolidation through the agentic solutions. They are not a solve all, but they should be acting as a solution that ties these things together on the renter journey.
Do you think it's
So I think it will be
possible
less.
for any company to own every piece of it? Like, do you think it's possible for it all to be consolidated into one? Because I have my own opinions on it, but I want to hear what you think.
It will never be able to tie
Yeah, I don't
everything.
think so either.
You can't. I'll give you an example. Turns, make readies, right? Returns. Well, software can go in and actually know when someone's moving out and maybe schedule some stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to have someone that walks into the property, sees everything that's going on, actually starts to do the labor and the work. What's funny is AI isn't replacing the blue collar workers. I mean, they're actually the safest people. Your plumbers, electronics.
Yeah.
It's the white collar folks that are actually getting hit for the first time through
Yeah.
this type of
I
automation,
think
which is
more of
ironic.
like the softwares like the Yardies, the Real Pages, like the very big guys in the industry. I feel like in the past they've tried to take all of the technical pieces
Yeah.
of it, but I just don't know how well that works.
Well, it depends. If you acquire something and fully integrate it, good for you. If you acquire it and bolt it on like Frankenstein, not good. I'll let people make their own opinions as to who's doing what, but y- yeah, integrations is key, and you can quickly see when they're not fully integrated.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could give operators one rule for adding or removing tech from their stack, what would that be?
One rule to add or remove.
Like as they go through that process.
Yeah, this is gonna. I don't know if this is exactly the answer you're looking for. The rule is you can no longer look at things in a silo.
Mhm.
You must look at things on a holistic view.
Yeah.
That's where we got into the problem we're into. So they look at a category and go, all right, solve that one. That may be fine for this, but you have 52, 56 other subcategories and things. You cannot look at these things in a silo or in a vacuum any longer. You must look at this holistically, and that's really why we actually built StackSmart, so that we can help provide that visual. So you have to look at everything as a whole, no longer in its pieces.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I have a bonus question that I ask every guest that comes on the podcast.
Okay.
For you in your personal life, what is one tech tool that you are loving right now? Can be whatever.
Okay, I know this is going to be
Don't
totally
think
cliche.
ChatGPT.
Come on, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. I mean, it helps me do so much right now. I
I
can't
know.
tell you the analysis recommendations. I will say some folks are like, well, AI can't do, business intelligence. I'm like, yeah, I can.
Yeah, it
I
can.
can do a lot of stuff. It
Yeah.
it moved faster than I think people realized. Okay, so the Aura ring.
Oh, yeah, I'm wearing one right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So I'm getting one. My daughter's used one, and I got to tell you, man, that's pretty cool. The stuff that it can do and the biofeedback.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I'm not using that one because I'm not allowed to use ChatGPT apparently. But I will say that the Aura Ring is something I'm very interested in because of the biofeedback
Yeah, you can
capabilities.
actually use your HSA to purchase one as well if anyone's listening and wants one.
Really,
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I did.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Totally
yeah.
worth it.
I
All
look at
right.
the data all the time. It's so interesting, and my sleep scores are so bad all the time.
Well, what's yours?
I
Is it?
don't know because I feel like I've used up all my tools. I've gotten asked this question before.
Look, I do get a little concerned with people's dependencies that they're already forming on
Yeah,
AI.
that's
It is a little
that's
scary.
I had that thought earlier today. I'm like, if ChatGPT just went away, I don't know what I would do.
I mean, look, for people who have started up companies and stuff, the work that goes into it,
Yeah.
the ability for me to do what we're doing on the scale that we're doing, I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have, and it's an organizational tool. So we can take this transcript that we're having or conversation that'll help extract certain things I need. Could I have gone through and looked at it manually? Sure. It just saved me time. People need to remember it's a tool, it's technology.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I did actually just think of one. The tool that I love right now is the tool that we're recording this podcast on. It's called Riverside, and I love it. It will clear up. It will use AI to clear up the sound. So if someone's not using a microphone, it will make it nice and crisp and clean. And then you can see the entire transcript and kind of edit it that way, which I love. And then it will come up with magic clips that you can share on social. So that's what I do every time I share. I use like the magic clips and go in and edit them. So
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to
yeah,
see our magic clips.
yeah, it's amazing.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people find you and connect with you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah. Anytime, Robert at multifamilyconsortium.com. They can visit our site as well. And that's usually the best place. And a lot of people, if you have my number, just call me.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank
Happy
you.
to chat. You bet.
Amazing.
Always good to be on. Thanks, Tiffany.
Yes. Thank you.